Hello, this is Peter Solberg, Controls Team Co-Lead of the 2017 to 2018 Wild Hair Racing Team. And this is the Control Systems Overview meant to get you ready to work on the car.
Here you can see our steering setup. We have two U-joints or universal joints. You can see that that's set at an angle from the steering wheel. So when the steering turns, that turns down in the steering rack. It's a rack and pinion setup. There's a gear in here and then basically a flat gear in here. So when this turns, it pushes that out in a linear motion, turning the wheels.
Down here we can see where the steering rack attaches to something called the tie rod right here. This is where something called toe is adjustable. This is more of a suspension team item, but toe is the angle in or out of the tires, just so you know.
Here we have the throttle pedal. When the driver pushes it down, it's mechanically pulling the cable. We'll translate back to here. This can be adjusted slightly down there, but hopefully we'll have a better pedal design coming soon so that it has better adjustment, better usability. This is the brake pedal. As you can see, there's a front and a rear side. That's because there are two master cylinders which actuate the brakes. The one with the smaller diameter goes to the front because it creates a larger force. The one with the larger diameter goes to the rear. It creates a slightly lesser force. You want your brakes to lock up slightly before in the front than they do in the back. You also got your reservoirs here, which have become very important when you're bleeding the brakes to keep those full. And you can see the silver brake lines, which then extend underneath the car to the respective brakes. So you can see there's the ones that go to the front, there's some others that go to the rear.
Here we have a brake caliper in the front. These are Brembos. In the back, they're Wilwoods. So as we can see, the brake fluid runs up through this line into the banjo bolt, into the monoblock caliper, which means that the housing is all one piece. Inside there are pistons. The fluid pushes against the pistons, pushing the pads against the disc. The car uses a pneumatic shifting system. The pressure for this system is provided by the air tank you see here. It is a paintball gun air tank and is mounted via hose clamp to the frame of the car. This tank operates at about 3,000 or so psi, and there's a valve that'll be shown in a later part of this video that brings it down to about 120 psi. This air tank, of course, runs out after about a couple hundred shifts, and so it has to be replaced. So here you can see how we remove the air tank. Simply twist it off. Now we'll hear from Eric as to basically how the air tank is turned on and off.
So when it's unscrewed like that, this pin is depressed. When you screw it in, it extends and pushes out. Pretty stiff. Then that presses on this pin right here and releases there inside the tank.
Now it's time to put the air tank back on. We actually refill these in Sioux Falls at a sports store, and so we just twist it back on, the reverse of how we took it off. This is a smaller one, and so we don't put the soft cover on it. We'll tighten it down just as is. Notice how the knob on top is spun all the way up so as to not have any of the air released while we were just storing the car.
Alright, so this is the air cylinder that the air tank supplies air to, and then when the valve is activated in different directions here, this valve, it allows airflow through the piston in different ways, causing it to shift either up or down, depending on which button you push. Press this and it causes airflow through the air cylinder to pull the shift lever down. This is the upshift button, does the same thing, but pushes the shift lever up. This is the pressure that we operate at. Regulates the pressure from the air tank down to 120 psi from around 3,000 usually. And do shifting. So here's a downshift. The clutch lever disengages the engine from the transmission, so it's used especially from a stop when you want your engine to run without stalling it and you want to be able to start smoothly. So you'll pull in the clutch, apply some throttle, and slowly let out the clutch to get a smooth start.
This is a steering wheel. It is removable by pulling this and then sliding it out. To put it back on, you have to make sure that it's lined up correctly with the thicker part of the notches. So we'll slide it in there and it pops into place.
As we can see, the steering wheel easily comes on and off when the driver is in the car. They have to take this off in order to get out of the car. The clutch is on the right hand side, and down at the feet there is the brake pedal for the left foot, the throttle pedal for the right foot.